list that's it's a computer printout on self-addressed labels, all the congressmen and senators, so that people could, produce a letter and send it to the congressman and senator, and it's a rather impressive situation that they've created.
One thing that's happened this year, there have been a good percentage less letters getting into Congress than there were last year.
Well, this would certainly help it, and what I find so neat is that here Bill was one of these people, or his company was perceived to be only involved in chips or involved with the breaking of the VC2, and this is a totally unrelated situation of producing labels and giving people some ideas as to what they can write about to the congressman and to the senator. I want to give him a plug because I think everyone out there should take this opportunity to spend the $15, get the labels. I'm sure he's losing money at it. And send this information into your congressmen and senators so that they can get a better idea as to what the issue really is. Because unfortunately, the people that testified, at least as we're taping right now, the list that's who's testifying doesn't seem to be that involved with the satellite industry from the consumer and the dealer standpoint.
Yep. I don't know. I don't know who selected them, but they're not the appropriate representative to discuss the current problem of availability of decoders and of the distribution of the programming. But
I don't know how this could have happened. I guess it happened because we were not intelligent enough to get behind a movement, or quick enough. We were so involved, I guess, with our own lawsuit and interview that we didn't get behind some sort of movement to get somebody to speak. I urge, and frankly, I talked to John O'Neill about possibly talking for the consumer side of the industry from Agrisat, because I think he has a good feeling as to what's wrong with the industry from that standpoint. So if a consumer wants to recommend somebody, I think that they might consider recommending John O'Neill and Walt Frazier. Walt Frazier is a dealer in Baltimore that seems to really be good in front of camera, be able to express his viewpoints very well, understands the issue, is a dealer, and certainly can show what has happened to this industry before Congress. So people out there that want to become involved and want to send a letter in and want to know what to say in the letter, recommend that these two people might speak for you, I think.
Writing letters really helps. It worked last year. It worked so much. If it can happen again at the same momentum this year, then I think it will really make a big difference. It has to happen.
It will, only if the people get involved. See, one of the things we have going for ourselves right now is there is no third-party packaging. Packaging prices is totally unrealistic, and anybody can see that, and anybody can see that the marketplace is not working. Just demonstrating, bringing in a couple of telephone books from around the country, demonstrating that so many dealers have gone out of business. That there is this black boxes. There are black boxes, and there are chips, and a high percentage of these people are stealing the program. And why? You know, I heard Chuck Hewitt on his show, which they had on Monday afternoon, address this issue. That is, that the consumer is crazy. They're spending $1,000 to beat the system when they could. That's 2 years worth of programming that they could legally pay for. Why would they spend $1,000 to beat it when they could buy it for that kind of money? And I think what they didn't realize, that being Hewitt and Space and everybody out there does not realize it, the people aren't beating the system to save the money. They're beating the system because they're so appalled by the system. People will spend more to get less just out of demonstration that they're so frustrated, and this is their only way of demonstrating the frustration that they feel. And I believe that's what's actually taking place right now. People are totally frustrated and they don't know what to do, and this is their only way to strike back and say, screw you, this is totally unfair, and I'll fight back some way, even if it costs me more money, which indeed chips do in the end.
Well, I guess we'll come back next week, and hopefully the hearings brought out more than we think they may.
Well, let us hope. And it's going to there's more hearings on the 19th, so every customer out there, every consumer out there should right now get involved. And I have Billy CG up blank boxes, telephone number, and address, so you could write to them and get the printout of all the computer printout of all your senators and congressmen.
Well, before we leave, let's leave with one last question.
What's that going to be, Kara?
I don't know, Sean. I think it ought to focus on associations. I think associations are very important. Even though Space was criticized a lot in its day for being lax, for not really getting out and talking about the issues and fighting for the issues. It still was an organizing point, and there's nothing now. The USIA hasn't gone very far. Local associations are breaking up. I think we ought to have a question geared towards that.
Okay, why don't we do it this way? There is Nashville coming up. Do the dealers out there want to have a meeting back in Nashville to discuss the issues again and try to either make USI a going concern or refocus? Actually, there should be election times at USIA. They should be nominating and electing people at that meeting in Nashville. And just discuss an operating plan so that they can get some sort of movement going. Speaking of the USA, I believe they're going to try to do a video show, by the way. I don't know when. I don't believe it's going to compete with us. I think it's going to be on Wednesday night. But I really think they should do a talk show. But because video is so expensive, and I don't think you're able to get as much done for your dollars with a video show.
Well, we'll see. But it's good to get out there and get the word out. But anyway, here's the question. You see it in front of you. Again, it's going to cost you 50 cents, but it's important to know if an association is important to you.
And I don't know, we ought to have a question for consumers, so if consumers can stay tuned to Green Sheet, maybe we'll figure out some sort of question for you up there about associations, about how you should...
Well, I think the consumers...
I think consumers are much more interested in...
They are. I mean, it's their investment, it's their programming. You know, it's their dollar. So... And they're the numbers, and they're the ones that count with the congressman.
All right, so there will be more questions during Green Sheet. So if you have any interest in answering these questions, stay tuned to Green Sheet.
Okay.
Which is going to follow Yellow Rain, which is following Boresight, which is coming up right now, right?
And I'll see you next week.
From Atlanta.
Okay, good night.
You're from Atlanta, Karen.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Good night.
Good night.
Well, welcome to Yellow Rain. I'm wearing my disguise. Can you see it? Sure you can. All right, be careful out there. There's a lot of what people are claiming to be standalone boxes. They're not standalones at all. They're VC2s that have been reworked. You know, our advice has always been stay out of the marketplace. Don't worry about what's going on in the VC2s, but in particular, be very, very careful of anyone coming to you and telling you he has a standalone. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm saying be careful. Exact is, again, as most of you know, is out of business, but majority of the problems will be handled by POTC. They feel bad for those of you that have been hurt by Exact, so if you can send them any sort of documentation where you've sent Exact money and you didn't get product, particularly in the last days whenever the changeover took place back in the early part of May, they'll try and make good on it. They're not saying they can make good on everything, they're saying they'll try to make good on it. Sergeant Savage of the Michigan Police Department is trying to help those of you that have been burnt by USA Star, or US Star, whatever it was. His telephone number, this is Sergeant Savage of the Michigan Police Department, is 616-922-4420. If you're waiting for product from USA Star, call him. Another viewer suggested don't put a socket in U30 for putting the RAM view or any of these other chips in. What you want to do is just solder on top of your existing chip, U30 position, the RAM view chip, or any of the chips that may work on U30. For instructions on how to do that, I suggest you ask who's ever selling you chips. For those of you that are getting RAM views, the instructions will be included in it. RAM views are gone after GIs turn you off. It's that they're short-lived. They're only going to be on for a short period of time, and then they're going to turn you off again. It may not be worth your investment right now. It's better to leave your box off and just join the class action suit. They have broken the law when they turn you off. It's that simple. It's not hard to figure that out. When they turn you off a service that you are legally authorized to see and turn on something else that you're not legally authorized to see and you happen to go over and watch it, that's not your fault. They did it to you. These bastards have to get sued and join the suit.
Dum 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 Where is she? She had to work somewhere else tonight, I think.
That's because we're taping this early tonight.
You were taping it earlier than usual, but that doesn't mean anything for you. It's